Hey everyone, welcome to the Week 4 Start Sit Show. Halftime Steelers, Vikings, 14-6 Steelers. I know everyone saw that one coming, right? Hey, Kenneth Gainwell, if you woke up late and you had Jalen Warren, that was a rough one because yesterday during the XM show, I remember the wording from Schefter saying that Warren was expected to be active. Didn't say start, and I was really like on high alert from that one. Well, sure enough, he's inactive. Gainwell, 5 for 24 and a touchdown on the ground, 3 for 20 through the air. So if you were awake and he was available or you had a chance, you actually had a good half. Nice to see DK Metcalf finally put together a yardage and the touchdown. Week 1, he had the 4 for 80. The next 2 weeks, it was 30 yards and a touchdown. He had that long 80-yard touchdown, just showing you how fast he is in the open field. So the 22 PPR points at halftime. Justin Jefferson would have been over 100 yards at the half had he not stumbled right before halftime. Jordan Mason had a fumble, but he fortunately was able to put his hand on it, recovered that. But not a big day for Mason. Carson Wentz, percentage-wise, fine passing, but again, Carson Wentz making mistakes at just the wrong time. All right, let's get some start and sit here. And later on, we'll certainly have some injury news to come up. Start out with Ethan. All right, there we go. Start out. All right, good morning, Dak or Fields. You know what? I'm very worried about the matchup with Green Bay. Dallas has 2 interior linemen out. I almost guarantee you they're going to rush people from the inside, and that's going to be a problem. And no CD Lamb, bigger problem. I just think it's one of these matchups you want to avoid. Justin Fields, look, he had one great game, he had one terrible game, but he's playing Miami. And Miami is a bad defense. They got some pass rushing talent. They haven't been getting home a lot. They don't stop the run. They don't have good corners. I go with Fields here, and I have the same decision. This is my quarterback duo, and every one I've started Fields. If anybody's using the super chat, I don't see anything showing on my screen, just an FYI. But if I do see something come up, I always take those first. But I just have to full disclosure. There's always like something on my screen that shows, and I don't see anything. But maybe nobody's used that yet, so that's possible. All right. Ethan, Pittman, Tillman, Swift, Judkins, Kirk. So I think Pittman's an auto start, and the tiny corners and Rams. Witherspoon's on the IR, so he's the only one that has a little bit of size. But this is like a man versus like little guys situation, and Pittman's getting targets every week, so you got to start him. And then realistically, Kirk had 8 targets last week, and we're hoping, but we got to see something first. Judkins has a tough matchup, but he's a 3-down back, seeing receiving and running work. Sampson had 1 touch last week. Ford did see 4 targets, but Swift is banged up in this one, and he's always a floor play. But the fact the Raiders matchup is pretty good. I guess I'd say Swift is a safer floor, and Judkins is a tougher matchup, but Judkins is a significantly better player. So really, it's a coin flip between the two. Swift is safer. Again, we don't know the injury, how bad it is, but I'll tell you this: with Swift having a later start today, I would almost take the chance on Judkins and go with that just in case Swift's like a surprise scratch or something like that. I should have a sheet up with the times on the games too, because I think that one's a late start. And yeah, Detroit should be an early start. Delroy, Ridley, Iomanner, Golden, Wicks, Mitchell, Tillman. Pick one. You know what? I think Iomanner does not have a great matchup this week, but Stingley, we don't even know. He's going to be a pregame, workout thing. He's definitely not 100%. And so Ridley and Iomanner both are going to be involved. But I think Golden is, if you want to shoot for upside, this should be if you drafted Golden, this is the week you want to use him. Dallas can't stop anybody downfield. I know the offensive line for Green Bay is an issue, but the Dallas pass rush is not much of an issue. So I think Golden's your boom bust play. I would almost say Iomanner is your floor player. He's getting targets every week. Ridley's been struggling. We've got to see something from Ridley, I think, first before we trust him in a lineup, because I just don't know what the issue is right there. Goff or Mayfield. I got to move that over a little bit. There we go. So look, Goff is playing Cleveland. I am not in on that. And I know Baltimore's defense last week, Baltimore's defense is not good. They can't rush. They can't stop the run. Their corners are decent, but they're not getting to the quarterback. So Goff had this great game. Could it happen against Cleveland? It could. not taking that chance. Mayfield, don't like the matchup either. Don't like he's without Mike Evans. Don't like he's missing 2 linemen. But like Mayfield runs for a lot of yardage. Every game it's been like 30 yards. That's important. And it's like Mayfield always finds a way to get it done. You can't explain it, but he does. I start Mayfield, and I'm pretty comfortable with that. I got Goff pretty low this week because of that matchup. Big Meech, more than you as well. Njoku or Andrews. So yeah, I was telling people to trade for Andrews before last week, and I thought it would take a little longer for him to get going. I was waiting for Ricard to come back, and he's not playing yet, and waiting for Likely because defenses play them differently. But we saw like last week they went to the old script of throwing downfield, and against Kansas City, that might be the mode to go because Kansas City's going to try to stop the run. And if they start throwing downfield, Andrews looks good. And Njoku's just been a floor play. And I'm not excited about the matchup. Those safeties in Detroit are no joke. So I know Andrews could get you a 0, but we already saw last week, Andrews can put you up a ceiling. And Njoku right now, there is no ceiling because it's like they're spreading the ball out between 4 guys. And it's a low volume passing attack. And I think it's a real rough one for Flacco. So yeah, I'd go with Andrews there. And then Thornton, Tootin, or Coleman. So the Coleman one's interesting because it's like when they don't have to throw, they don't, and they'll run the ball. And if they get out to a lead with James Cook, they might not throw more than 20 passes, 22 passes in this one. And then we don't know who's getting the passes. So Coleman, we love him in the week 1 shootout, but this probably isn't a shootout. Thornton with Worthy back, that kind of makes that weird because they can't put Worthy in a short yardage role like where the Rashi Russell because his shoulder is going to wear a harness. So he's got to get his deep threat back, you would think. So I think Tootin may have like the best floor. He's going to give out 10 touches. Your boom bust play is Coleman because if they decide to take to the air, he could score a touchdown. He could get a big play. But Tootin's probably the floor guy and Coleman's a boom bust one. Big Meech, Keenan or Montgomery. You know what? Montgomery has a nasty matchup here. Again, I can't stress enough that the Ravens were out Matabike last week. Michael Pierce retired. They were down a linebacker. No, Roquan Smith is done. It's like he's done. He can't run anymore. So all of a sudden now Baltimore is like a negative run defense for their purposes, positive for opponents. Montgomery is a nasty matchup. I'm playing Keenan Allen here. He's gotten it done every week, getting targets. I mean, is there a week he won't get him? Possibly. But right now, it's hard to bet against him. It's Keenan Allen. Pick 2, McMillan, Judkins, Chase Brown, and Ridley. I know we're at the point with Chase Brown. He's not getting anything done. Chase Brown doesn't have a great matchup against Denver. It's not death either, though. They're better against the pass and the run. I would say this. I would think McMillan and Judkins are your best opportunity for guaranteed volume. And Judkins has already shown in some tougher games he might be more valuable than Chase Brown. So I will go with the 2 youngsters here. Max, appreciate you following my content. It means a lot to me. Thank you. And thanks for listening to those XM shows. You need one, DJ Moore, McMillan, or Jacoby Myers. Everybody knows I love DJ Moore to the moon. I think he's a superstar and he's not being used that way. I get it. But I'll say this. Jacoby Myers is playing against Bears. No Jalen Johnson. Their slot, Kyler Gordon is expected to come back from an injury, but I just think Jacoby Myers is fine here. Jacoby Myers is the high floor and the high ceiling because Myers, don't be surprised if this is a game where he goes. I was saying on the XM shows, he could go for 100 and a touchdown. It could happen. And it wouldn't surprise me for a second. So you have 3 great choices here. It's standard. Well, yeah, but even standard doesn't really change a lot because I think McMillan's tied to a bad quarterback. Moore, again, we're not sure he's getting targets. I would just say the safest play with similar upside to the other 2 players. It's always gut call in that area between those 3, but I would give Myers the edge here. Believe that or not. Wow. Jacoby Myers. John Brown. Oh, I got a super chat. And John, I'll come back to you. Super chat here. Anthony D. Morning to you. Brock Purdy or Indiana Jones. Jacksonville has been surprisingly good defensively. That's been very miscalculated. Didn't see that coming. I have Daniel Jones a couple spot higher. Daniel Jones been a point guard in this offense. I think that game's more of a shootout than San Francisco Jacksonville. I think San Francisco Jacksonville could be lower scoring here. Whereas I think, Jones is probably in a shootout and he's a point guard. He's got players everywhere, and the Rams corners really aren't going to hold up here. So I think Daniel Jones is your play, and he probably runs or something. Purdy usually runs, but he's hurt still. I think he's not 100%. So I think you you make that the world. Thanks for doing the super chat. Appreciate that. All right, we're back to John. John, you got Ertz or Hockenson. That one, Hockenson played already, so we can't use that one. I see you asked that question before that game kicked off. So we're done there. Big Meech, Detroit or the Green Bay defense? You know what? Look, I'm going to play the narrative. I have to go with Green Bay. I have to go with the narrative that Micah Parsons is going to ruin the day for them. Detroit is a great matchup too. Hey, flip a coin on that because either like Joe Flacco could be the turnover machine, but I just think that Dallas down 2 interior offensive linemen. I'll play the narrative. But again, defenses and kickers are those things where they're just so fickle. You can have the best matchup in the world, and all of a sudden, you didn't get any fantasy points. Debo or McMillan. Um, Again, Debo with Terry McLaurin out. Doesn't matter. Mariota's in. Last week was they both receivers played. Debo's gonna be heavily involved here. Debo should see a high floor, and he looks good. He is running after the catch, not like 2020 Debo where he got 1,700 scrimmage yards, but he doesn't look like the 900-yard guy either. He was the last 4 years. So Debo is the safest play. He has a better chance of scoring a touchdown because his team will score points as opposed to Carolina, who I know they scored 30 last week. I get it. They played Atlanta, whatever, but that's not a good offense. So I would bet on Debo here. Where do I have him on the rankings? I bet you. Let's see who I have higher on this one too. Let's see where I have Debo. I have Debo at 17. Yeah, and then I got Ted at 20. So I have him close, certainly. And you can't go wrong either way on him for sure. Oh, hold on. I might have some more super chat. I got more super chat here. Hang on. I got a few more super chat here. And then I'll come back to Chris. Oh, Chris, I see you again here. All right, Chris. Oh, your question's posted. I just see one there. So perfect. I'll get your question. I'm going to do the other 2 super chat and I'll get yours right away. And then we've got Thomas. I appreciate the kind words. London, McMillan, Pittman, Dobbins, Brees Hall, and you need 3: running back, receiver, and a flex. London is getting some volume. They really had to get to the drawing board in the past week. I have to think he's getting double-digit targets here today. I don't know that you could sit Drake London against Washington too. The corners really shouldn't give him an issue. And then Pittman, like I said earlier, Pittman against those real small corners of the Rams. Witherspoon's on the IR. Pittman has just been a target vacuum for them, and I don't see any reason to go away from him here. And then really, J.K. Dobbins is a fantastic matchup against Cincy. So I'm going to go with those 3, and that should give you a running back, that gives you a receiver, and that gives you a flex. And Brent, I appreciate you. Thank you, Brent. PPR, Coleman or Thornton. So with Worthy back, I am a little concerned they're going to have to use him in the downfield role to keep him away from the middle of the field contact. So I think that minimizes Thornton because you can't have 2 guys doing the same role. That just wouldn't work in that offense. So whereas Coleman, we're worried they're going to run the ball and get a big lead and not pass. But again, if they throw, it certainly could work out that Coleman has a decent chance of scoring a touchdown if they get in the red area. So I would give Coleman the edge here. Half PPR, Travion or Jennings. So according to the head coach, Mike Vrabel, Ramondre Stevenson will not be punished for his fumbles because he's the lead back. That means Henderson seeing minimal work. Jennings, it said his work will be limited, but we hear that every week, and these guys tend to go off. So it's really hard to understand and roll with that. I just think Jennings is an established part of that offense. You're taking a chance with injury, but Henderson hasn't been a floor or a ceiling guy. He hasn't been very, very fantasy useful. So I think you got to go with Jennings there. All right, let's go back to the regular slate of questions here. I did get that one. Oh, I got another super chat. Good here. Got Joseph in here. Should you put Dak in Superflex or plug in Pearsall, DJ, Ridley, Stevenson, or Chuba? So as you heard, Dak has a bad matchup this week, but there's a chance that Dallas gets down 24-0 and there's garbage time. And to play a position player over a quarterback is always tough. Pearsall with Jennings back, now all of a sudden the targets are a little more diversified. This could be a little more of a low volume game. Pearsall's been great, but again, we saw Jennings when the last time they played together, Jennings ate and Pearsall didn't. So I think playing the quarterback and DJ Moore, again, we love him, but we don't know, they haven't really featured him yet. Ridley hasn't had a good game. If Stevenson fumbles early in this game, and he's been a fumbler, and Chuba's playing a little bit dinged up here. So Chuba's close against New England. But again, if that injury puts him on the shelf early, I would probably just go with the quarterback here because there should be a baseline of points. Like I said, garbage time's a real possibility here. All right, let's see here. Live questions. And let me see here. And then Chris, let's see if I got yours here. Here you go. Yep, Chris, you're here. Good, perfect. All right, half point, need a running back and a flex. Odunze, Dobbins, or Brees Hall or McMillan. It's really hard to sit Odunze right now. Even though the yardage like in week 1 wasn't good, he's been getting in the end zone. He has been a regular part of the offense. He's being treated like a lead receiver. And against the Raiders, I don't see any cornerback giving him any grief. So I think that Odunze's got to be in. And then at running back, look, love Brees Hall and love the matchup, but the last 2 weeks it just hasn't looked good. Whereas Dobbins is playing at a good floor level. He has a great matchup. So if you want to risk the boom bust. Look, I'd love to see Brees Hall get 150 yards and a touchdown. Could it happen? Yes. But the last 2 weeks, I don't have the confidence to have that happening. So I the safest, Odunze and Dobbins. But again, if your gut says Brees Hall over Dobbins, there is some real ceiling potential here. Oh, man, Ryan Kelly, the center, had another value for another concussion. Poor guy. He had a concussion like week 2. Oh, man, just coming back from one. Hope he's okay. Carson Wentz sacked. Imagine that. And then Chris, Pittman or Olave. So this one's really close. Olave gets a boatload of targets. Pittman gets a good number of targets. Olave they just missed him on a touchdown last week. I will, in my rankings, see exactly where I have them. I have Olave at 21 and I got Pittman at 24. I think Olave's gonna have a lot of garbage time here. I think Buffalo should, in theory, get out to a big lead. And if you believe that, then Olave should get garbage time. And Buffalo they're not the team that goes for the throat late. They will back off a little bit. So there's that. And then Brown or Brees Hall. Look, I mean, Brees Hall, he has a better matchup. Brown is getting killed by not having Burrow in there. I think based on that one, you got to go with Brees Hall here because until we see Chase Brown do something with all these compressed defenses, he's not going to have the room he was expected to have all year. All right, and I got another super chat here. We got Fantasy Meatball, Michael. All right, appreciate you very much. And you didn't give me a question, but I know if you have one, I definitely will get it for you. I appreciate you, Michael. Thank you. Damon, full PPR, Ridley, Williams, or upside with Tyquan Thornton. Again, I was mentioning earlier that I think that if Worthy's expected to play, and with a harness on his shoulder, I just don't see him using him in that grinder role that Rashi Rice. He's going to get hit a lot in that role. But if they use him in a downfield clear out, that's what Thornton's doing. So I think that's my logic. It could be wrong. Andy Reid might be willing to get Worthy knocked down for another 6 weeks with a shoulder, but I don't think he will. I think he understands the long game here. So that said, I think you got to go with JMO. Calvin has done nothing. I think his matchup's fine. If Stingley's out, it's fine. But Stingley's going to test it pregame, which we won't know for about 15 minutes. But I still think Jamison Williams the one here because I know that there's a lot of man coverage that Cleveland plays, and that lends to giving up big plays. And so I think JMO has a shot at popping a big play here. All right, Damon, last question. Wide receiver, tight end. Juwan, you know what? Juwan Johnson, I got you. His floor is so high. Whereas Matthew Golden, he's a great boom play because Dallas is horrible. And if they decide to air it out and give him a couple deep shots, yeah, he could score 2 long touchdowns. It would not surprise me. But we haven't seen evidence of that yet. Whereas Juwan Johnson, every week you're flirting with 10 targets. And I think that you can't really sit that because that is a baseline that's unlike few players. All right, Rahendra, good morning to you as well. Fields, Daniel Jones, or Prescott. So here's the thing, and everybody I want you to hear about is Prescott. This is not Prescott's fault. So week 1, it was the weather delay. He was doing great against Philadelphia. The weather delay, both teams couldn't move the ball. It was like an hour weather delay. That just took their mojo away. Week 2, Dak goes off. Week 3, he loses CeeDee Lamb in the first quarter. So if you can hang on to Dak until CD gets back, Dak is still going to be a top. He has shown nothing to think that what he's able to do on that field is not what he's done in the past. This is all weird stuff. But if Lamb comes back in a few weeks, Prescott goes back to being in any normal matchup. And actually, it works like his lineman. He might get maybe at least one of those linemen back. But between Fields and Daniel Jones, look, Fields right now compared to Jones is risky. Because love his matchup, but we've seen the upside and we've seen the floor. One is beautiful, the other is ugly. Daniel Jones has a solid floor with some upside. I do think that Indy Rams game shoots out. I have Jones at quarterback 8. If you want to shoot for incredible upside but risk it, then Fields would be in play. But you got to understand that right now, until we see Justin Fields put together 2 good games in a row, we have to be really worried about starting him because you don't want that floor game with 5 points. So Jones would be my recommendation. But again, if you can't hold 3 quarterbacks and you got to draft Prescott, I get it, because at least you got Daniel Jones, who's been really, really good. All right. And then one of these are like Chase Brown, Chuba Hubbard, McMillan, or Waddle. Waddle has quietly gotten about 5 catches a game. McMillan's right around there as well. Waddle it just seems so dicey how his production's coming because that offense is so dysfunctional right now. Hubbard is playing through an injury, but I think given this whole situation here, I really think Hubbard, I have him by running back 13 with the assumption if he's active means he's healthy enough to go. I think Hubbard has to be your play. He catches the ball, he runs it. I know they're now 2 interior linemen, but Hubbard gets that volume, and it's been a pretty incredible thing. So I think the floor plays Hubbard. It's hard to call McMillan a boom play because his quarterback limits him so much. And he had the 100-yard game, but I don't think he found the end zone. So Hubbard's the safest. I guess McMillan, there'd be a world where it's a boom bust game for him where he could have something, but that would require his quarterback to throw multiple touchdowns. And again, that's always a question for me. I got another super chat here. I'll make sure I got them all too. And I got a couple of them here. So let's see what we got here. John, Rashid, Pacheco, Ali Gordon, and Palmer. So Ali Gordon got a few carries last week, actually like 8. They were early, and he looked really good. Palmer is very inconsistent. And them being a big favorite, it's really difficult to imagine that they're going to funnel him many targets. Pacheco is getting a little more work. Baltimore is legitimately like a bottom 3 defense against the run. Matabike's out. Like I said, Michael Pierce retired last year, and Roquan Smith, like he can't run for whatever reason anymore. So I think Pacheco's 1, Shaheed's 2, Gordon's 3, and Palmer's 4. Chris, wide receiver and flex. McConkey. Is that Pontier? Okay. Oh, nice tackle. All right. McConkey, Swift, Keenan Allen, Ibuka, Pearsall, or Henderson. Good problem to have. You need a wide receiver and a flex. So these are all great plays except for Henderson. Henderson, I think we rule out because according to the coach, like I said earlier, apparently Stevenson won't be punished for his fumbles. So in that case, Henderson's back to a minimal role. McConkey hasn't had a big game, but McConkey's an excellent player, and you have to think at some point, especially against the Giants, it would not be hard to get him going. Keenan Allen has outplayed McConkey in every game for fantasy, but and at some point that's going to flip for a game or two. So I hear it's like you play the better player probably, even though Allen every week is cashed. He got all the touchdowns, all 3 of them. So it's a tough call, but I would probably go with McConkey there. And then Swift is banged up. That's enough for me for a limited player as it is to probably fade him. Ibuka, the only thing I'm concerned about is he may see Quinyon Mitchell in a shadow situation. Coach Fangio talked about using him in that capacity this year. And with no Mike Evans and Godwin's first game back, they're probably willing to take that chance on him. So I'm a little nervous there. Pearsall splitting some work now that Jennings is back. But I think Pearsall is probably the second best option of these, the safest. So I'd go McConkey and Pearsall, but I get it. I get the Keenan Allen thing because he gets it done every week. And if you need to start him, it's going to be hard to dissuade you because, again, if we take the names off the jersey, we look at the production, Allen's been a stud. All right, see what you got. You got Kevin. Morning to you as well. Pollard or Monty. So Houston has not been great against the run, and you can get to them there. They're excellent against the pass. Again, don't know if Stingley's playing, but that has nothing to do with Pollard. I think Pollard gets as usual. He hasn't gotten in the end zone yet, but that will change. He will get in the end zone. Monty has a brutal matchup. Last week, we didn't think Baltimore was a tough defense. I mean, we didn't think they were easy. And they're horrible against the run. So we had to take Monty's performance with a grain of salt. I go with Pollard here. Monty's a nasty matchup. And half PPR, need 2 from the same league. Brian Thomas, Devontae, Renfro, Higgins, Pittman, Bateman. Adams is playing through a hamstring, limited practice Friday. I don't trust Sean McVay as far as I could throw him. So I consider Adams a massive boom or bust because McVay could be playing games and Adams could be like a decoy. And he also could get you 25 fantasy points. So you are totally throwing caution to the wind if you play Adams. I love him, but you have good options. Brian Thomas has done literally nothing. He hasn't have a 10-point game, so less than 10, but he's getting targets. And 49ers are a tougher matchup, but he will get targets. So I guess you've got that going your way. Pittman's the one I went in. Put Pittman in. He is going to see targets of small corners from the Rams. You attack them. So I would say Pittman and Brian Thomas. And then, but if you want to go boom bust at that third spot, then I go Adams over Brian Thomas. But Pittman's your safest play here. Man, the Vikings out of the shadow of their goal line. All right. John, you need 2. Ibuka, Dunze, Chase. You know what? I am going to, it's funny. Surtain got beat by Alec Pierce twice a couple of weeks ago. Surtain is not playing at his normal level. Now, could that change this week? Maybe. But he has cornerback play. It's funny. It's not always sticky year to year. Some cornerbacks, they just don't have the same level of dominance. And he has not, to me, looked like the dominant Patrick Surtain we've seen. Chase is going to get scheme touches up. They're going to get him in the slot. Surtain probably doesn't go there. They're going to move him all around. They have no other choice. So I'm going to go with Odunze and Chase here. Again, I think Ibuka is going to see some shadow coverage from Quinyon Mitchell because, again, I said Coach Fangio said that would happen, and I take him at his word. Nice run for Jordan Mason. Delroy, full PPR flex. Pittman, ETN, Stevenson, Coleman, Tillman, Franklin. I'm going to go with the first 2. Pittman and ETN. There seems to be bankable volume. Both are playing well. I know the 49ers aren't the best matchup, but Nick Bosa, we think about him as a passer. He's a very good run defender, too. And with him out, that does put a ding in that. And so Pittman and ETN for the floor and ceiling are seem to be your best bets. Chris, need a receiver and a flex. Pearsall, McConkey, Swift, Keenan Allen. I think you may have asked that one, right? I think we settled on McConkey and Pearsall for that one. And first down. Nice little slant to Adam Thielen back in the game. Boy, it's funny. You go to the veteran Carson Wentz, and all of a sudden Thielen gets a couple catches, huh? All right, Delroy, half PPR, you pick 2. Waddle, Kirk, Mooney, or Tillman. Waddle is getting about 5 catches a game. And I think that's enough of a floor in this group. Kirk got 8 targets last week. You have to think the chemistry gets a little better each week. I'm going to start those 2. Tillman, I don't like his matchup. Flacco is going to be under duress, and he just hasn't been good. I like Tillman in many other weeks. Don't like him in this game. And Mooney, right now, it's very hard to trust that passing attack in Atlanta. So I'm going to go with the first 2. All right. Michael, there you go. Io Manor or Goddard. So Goddard had the 1 catch for 33 and a touchdown last week, but you already see it. It's like the targets are very frail for him. Io Manor is getting targets every week, and we're going to find out soon if Stingley's playing, but again, Stingley probably sees more of Ridley, but they probably don't. I don't know if they're going to shadow him anyway. I think Io Manor has a higher floor. I think that the boom bust play might be Goddard, but I don't know how much of a boom there is because I just don't know how much of the passing goes. They might need him to block this week a little more than usual too, because remember, Tampa Bay blitzes a ton when they see Jalen Hurts. So I would tend to go with Io Manor there. A super chat here. Chris screwed up deleting super chat trying to change your question. That's awesome, dude. All right, half PPR, Ibuka or Keenan Allen. You have McConkey. I appreciate you, man. So look, Keenan Allen, it's been bankable volume for him. You heard me say earlier, Ibuka's been a great player so far. I think Philly is going to be ready for him in this one. And again, I think Mitchell is going to probably play on him a lot. I think Godwin's going to be eased back into the slot, and I think he's going to be successful there. But I think Philly could take that away a little bit. This is a tougher matchup. And big plays against, not that Ibuka's a big play guy, but Philly's very good at limiting big plays. So I would go with Keenan Allen. He has been red hot. And oh my gosh. So both the right tackle, Brian O'Neill, and the center, Ryan Kelly, are out for the Vikings. And O'Neill hurt his knee. So not good for the Vikings going forward. They need that offensive line. So yeah, Chris, I would give Keenan Allen the whirl there. And I know it's 2 Chargers, but they're playing the Giants, so they could score 30-something points here. Definitely could see that happening. All right, let's see what we got next there. And then let me see. Oh, I think I answered that already. Let me see where I'm at here. I got that. You got to see where I'm at in the question. I answered Michael. Unite Santini's up. All right. Henderson, Monty, J-Mo, pick 2. I just, again, with the coach saying that Stevenson won't be punished for his fumbles, he's the lead back. Henderson was splitting reps with Gibson for the second role. It's not enough. So I don't like Monty's matchup, but it's bankable. He has a better chance of scoring a touchdown. And then Jamison Williams, a lot of man coverage, but that's where he has a chance to break a long one. So I would go with my 2 Lions here and hope that works out. But Travion right now, very tough to trust. Carson Wentz runs for the first down on 3rd and 8. That a man can run. Devontae Smith or Monty. I will go with Devontae Smith here. I don't think that the Eagles are going to be able to just go with the run mindset. Tampa's been great against the run. I think they're going to have to throw a little more. Monty, it is a tougher matchup, but I think Devontae Smith has an opportunity to do some damage in this game because there's going to be some points scored here, I think. So I think that's a better opportunity, whereas Monty, again, just been a brutal matchup. Again, Cleveland has just been lights out against the run. All right. Michael, J-Mo or Quentin Johnston. So I believe it or not, Quentin Johnston is safer because he's getting more of a baseline of targets. J-Mo against the Bears, remember that game? Good fortune for him that the Bears lost 2 corners in that game because he was shut out through 38 minutes. And then the 2 big plays came and it worked out beautifully for him. But Quentin Johnston, heavily involved. The drops have been minimal and they're playing the Giants. And in terms of matchups, so much better. But right now, through 3 weeks, Quentin Johnston looks like a first-round draft pick, which he was. He looks like it. And so I think until he shows you otherwise, I think we forget the name in the past, but we play the player who's been very high floor with good ceiling. I might have let me see. I might have another super check. Let me get some half PPR. Sit 1, ETN, Judkins, Pickens, or Debo. That's a real. There is a world to sit Pickens. I don't know how many big plays there'll be, but he could get volume. But Pittsburgh's really sending the heat right now. They're getting home on Wentz. So Judkins is a nasty matchup. Pickens, the pass rush is a problem. ETN is a start. Debo's a start. It really is a coin flip between Judkins and Pickens. Judkins will have more bankable volume. If Dallas gets behind and they're using Pickens a little more on shorter routes because CeeDee Lamb's out, then he could be a PPR, but you got half PPR. So, at the half PPR, I probably sit Pickens here. Watch him score a 70-yard touchdown, then he'd be like, what the heck? But yeah, I'd probably sit Pickens there. See if I got a super chat before I get to Michael. All right, see, I got Kyle. Yep, I do. TJ Watt's got the ball in his hands. I'll have to see what happened in a second there. Kyle, full PPR. Shakir, Godwin, Dobbs, pick 2. Appreciate you, Kyle. So Shakir is not getting a lot of work, and there's a good chance that they get out to a big leader. Dalton Kincaid is eating up some of that work that Shakir should be having. Also, Carson Wentz. It was an interception for TJ Watt. Wow. Carson Wentz being Carson Wentz. Godwin's coming back from a long layoff, but I am not worried about him in this matchup. I expect him to have a pretty typical role, and they're going to need him. Dobbs has a great matchup against Dallas, and if there is a time you're going to start Dobbs, it's probably going to be here. And they want to rub it in. Now there's a chance that Josh Jacobs gets going on the ground. They don't need to pass a lot, but that's Shakir's issue too. I guess Shakir would have a little better of a floor than Dobbs, but Dobbs is a little more ceiling because I think there's a better chance he scores a touchdown. I think at the end of the day, though, that little bit of a better floor for Shakir is probably enough to start him. But if you need an upside play, give Dobbs a chance because this could be the week against this Dallas team where he finally has that breakout game that you're hoping for. But Godwin, I'd put him in. I would go right back to him. All right, let's see where we're at here. I got one for Michael, maybe. Golden or Dobbs in the flex. I do go Golden here. 1.5 PPR. Wow, half for first time. I would think they started to get Golden going a little last week, and I mentioned that you might consider starting him to someone else last week. But I do think this is a week you look at Golden because Dallas doesn't have a pass rush, and there's injuries on the Packers offensive line, so that might still not be an issue. I think they want to get him going downfield, and what better team to do it against than Dallas? So it's going to be risky. But I don't think Dobbs is that great of a play where the risk is a problem. So I would go with Golden here for that. Brian Upton's in the house. Spears or Tootin? if you're saying Spears, I think he's on IR. Tyjae Spears? Unless I'm really screwing something up and I'm having an old moment here. Tyjae Spears should be one more week on the IR. So unless there's another Spears and I'm just like bonking because I'm old and I'm tired today, it's got to be Tootin. If I screwed it up, I apologize, but I can't think of any other Spears. All right, let's see what I got here. Oh, these questions all jumped on me. I'll find where they're at in a minute. Got another super chat here from Fabian. More and Fabian. You need 2 in 1 point. Here, let me put it on the big screen here, and I'll have to figure out why questions all jumped on me. All right. Tillman, Jennings, Booty, or Kirk? All right. So between Booty and Kirk, I would drop Booty first. Kirk got 8 targets last week. I do think he's a big part of the solution. It was chemistry last week. It's going to take him a little while to get there, but those targets are bankable. And they're going to, with the bad offensive line, Kirk's going to be an outlet. So Kirk, I think you got to go Kirk. And I think even though he's limited with the injury, I think you got to go with Jennings. He's proven that he has floor and upside, whereas Tillman, it's the bad matchup. I think that the pass rush can be a real problem for Joe Flacco getting the ball downfield. Booty, he had a great week 1. They had a 1 for 16 and a touchdown in the next game, but it hasn't been enough to keep him. So if you got to drop one, it's probably got to be Booty. You got to drop here. All right. And then let me see if I get any other. All right. Back to my live ones here. I got to find out where it bumped me here because it really bumped me. All right. Here we go. I found it. Oh, yeah, Brian, thank you. If you hit the like button, appreciate that as well. Subscribe would be great too. In PPR, 4 flex, 4-point touchdown. Geno or Stroud. I got to go with Geno here. Bears matchup, not much of a pass rush. Down Jalen Johnson. Stroud, it's a problem. That line's a problem. He's not a problem. His line is a liability. And then flex, Tillman, Booty, or Mims. Oh, man. That's a real tough one. Kenny Gainwell getting it done. So of these 3, Mims, we don't know what his volume's going to be. It's like he is like the number 3. He's your boom bust play because if they will decide to take a shot at him, then he could catch. But he's like the most likely of the 3 to get like a 2-point game. I think Tillman is probably the bad matchup. I think he's probably the better floor play. He probably gets you into 3 for 40 range, which is probably better than these other options. Mims is boom bust and Tillman's your floor play. And appreciate that. And then I've got another super chat here. Or I don't have another super chat here. No, it's Fabian's. I answered Fabian already. All right, so we're good there. All right. All right. Kevin. All right. We've got need 3 from the following PPR: Waddle, Jennings, Monty, Devontae Smith, and Diggs. So I do think Devontae Smith is live in this one, especially against the blitz. They will move him in the slot with some time, some ability as well. So I think that he'll be a good safety valve. Jennings is hurt, but I think I'd play him in this one because you just see that Jacksonville, the outside corners are where you could get to him, and Jennings will play a bit out there. Waddle has been a good floor play, and he's found the end zone recently too. So I would play those 3. Monty is tough, but the matchup is brutal for him. Diggs really doesn't quite look like Diggs yet, and wow, Kenny Gainwell down to the 2-yard line or maybe the 3. Wow. Man, I tell you, Caleb Johnson is a long, long way from seeing relevant playing time. He had a couple of touches earlier in the game, but wow. Didn't think Kenny Gainwell had that in him. Kudos to the young man. All right. Tootsie Pop. We got Rachel in the house. All right. Good morning to you. You have to decide between Stroud or Rattler. Oh, man. Well, in this case, I will say Stroud. Stroud will run a little bit. And, you mean, no. You mean, with Daniel's, you mean Carson Wentz, right? If you maybe mean Carson Wentz. So if you mean Carson Wentz, Wentz easy. Wentz is easy on this one. Yeah, Kenny Gainwell in for another touchdown. Holy smokes, what a day for Kenny Gainwell. Hopefully those who had opportunity to start him when they woke up early were able to do so. So, yeah, I think you mean Wentz here. Not Wentz. Oh, man, now I'm bonking here. All these back. Marcus Mariota. Mariota's got to be the play. You got to play Mariota over him. But if you have I don't think Rattler's starting somewhere. I don't think he is. But you know what? I apologize. Whenever I'm seeing Rattler, I did this yesterday on the XM show. I'm thinking Ritter. I keep seeing Rattler, who I have in some leagues, and I'm thinking Desmond Ritter. And so I'm like, what's up? But then we said Daniel's out. I really got confused. So, okay, Spencer Rattler has to be your starter. There's going to be some garbage time. He'll throw 40 times in this game. So yeah, he goes Spencer Rattler. Now I gotta lose this Desmond Ritter and Spencer Rattler thing. Oh, Christian Gonzalez is playing. Right tackle Spencer Brown is out for the Bills. In this game, it shouldn't matter much, but that would be a big loss from any other game. Oh my gosh. All right, let's see what we got next here. All right. Oh, you didn't say Texans bad pass rush. They've got Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. They got maybe a top 3 pass rush. I gotta watch out on that one. Texans have a lethal pass rush. All right, let's see what we got here. Disco Dave, morning to you as well. Touchdown heavy league. You need two receiver and flex. Olave, Worthy, Franklin, McMillan, Tootin, Rodriguez, and Isaiah Likely. All right. So first of all, I think Olave's got to be in for that target volume, and McMillan has to be in for his volume. So those two are in. Worthy is your classic boomer bust play. The shoulder, he's wearing a harness. I don't know what that means. I assume, and I could be wrong, that it means he's going to run a downfield roll because you don't want him in traffic if he's wearing a harness and a shoulder and a 165-pound player. So he's your boom bust play. But if you need a safer floor with something, Tootin's getting about 10 touches a game. They're scheming him up on a couple of things too. So Tootin would probably be your third, but Worthy's your ceiling play. You want to shoot for some ceiling, but just understand Worthy could be a decoy in this game. So that's something to very much consider. Pickens or Chase Brown. I do go Pickens here. I think Dallas is going to trail by enough, and Pickens' role is going to have to be changed a little bit. He's going to have to see more, instead of intermediate deep, he's going to see more short intermediate because he's going to have to bail them out. So I go with that. Chase Brown right now, when you have another option, he's really, really hard to start. All right, let's see here. We got some Ted McMillan, Krosky Merritt's playing. All right, let's take a quick look here. See if I can find some inactives for you. They should be coming through a little bit. So, all right, let's take a look here. I will tell you any inactive reports I have that'll help with us. All right. Lions, nothing special there. Chuba Hubbard playing. We expect him to play with the calf injury. We don't know how serious it is. Nothing special coming out of Atlanta. We do know Ted McMillan is playing. DeJuan Jones for the season. Now Jack Conklin's out again. That is really problematic for the Cleveland passing attack. Derek Stingley is active for Houston. He's playing, so that does make it a bit tougher for Calvin Ridley. I think Io Manor, I doubt Stingley's going to. There might be times when they naturally see each other, but if they decide to assign Stingley, it certainly would be to Ridley. Christian Gonzalez is going to make his 2025 debut. Might see some Ted McMillan, so there's a little bit of worry there. Chris Godwin is playing as expected. You already knew that Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin were out. Noah Brown, too. John Bates, butt kicker as a blocker, is out. Looks like we got a good kick return for the Vikings. Get it. Oh, my gosh, inside the 40. All right, but they're now 21-6 with a flag, of course, so we'll probably walk that back. All right, let's see. I think that's it for injuries right now. That's all I have. Okay, so we can get back to our regularly scheduled programming. All right, let's see what we got here. Did I answer this for you? Yeah, we answered it already. All right, next. Vinny, good morning to you as well. Olave or Worthy? Again, you heard me talk about Worthy. I'm just very concerned with a harness on his shoulder that he is going to be decoy. Olave gets like double-digit targets. I just think it's too hard to push that away. Julian, pick 3. Keenan Allen, Jacoby Myers, Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith. On principle, you just can't sit Jamar Chase. And even last week in a bad game, was he 5 for 50, a 9-yard run? I think he fumbled, but you just can't sit him. You just can't do it because no matter, I don't care who's covering him, but he's still Jamar Chase. So you start him. I go with Myers and Allen. I think their floors are higher. I like Devontae Smith. I like them all. I like them all this week. But I think of the 4, Devontae Smith is the one that has been more up and down. And we can't guarantee that Kevin Patullo is going to learn from last week and they're not going to run more than they should. So I think of these 4, I think these 3 are the ones that you say, yeah, these 3 are pretty much going to be volume magnets, whereas Smith might be, and I think he could be, but I think you're more bankable going with the other 3 because it's kind of been proven. Abraham, Pollard or Henderson? Pollard has a much more secure role. And like I said earlier, we already heard Coach Vrabel say that he's not going to penalize Ramondre Stevenson for the fumbles. So that means that, Henderson's back in that splitting the backup work with Antonio Gibson. All right, so Pollard. Man, it's 21-6, 2 minutes left, third quarter. Pittsburgh Steelers looking good in Ireland. Vaughn, good morning to you. And we're going to go with Pollard here as well, too. He has a floor. Pollard adds a floor. And Chase Brown right now doesn't have a floor. And that's the problem. Teams just compact the defense. And Brown, the whole reason we bought Brown is because teams had to play the Bengals with Burrow back. And now that luxury is off the board. So Pickens or Myers is just safer. Myers, excuse me, he's been a target hog. The Bears are down Jalen Johnson. It's a great opportunity for Myers. Even half PPR, I think so, because Pickens, Prescott's going to be under immense pressure here. Man, the Steelers are in feeding frenzy now. Playing with a lead and knowing Carson Wentz has to be one-dimensional, they are just bringing the pass rush. Old Pittsburgh Steelers classic football. Colts fan in quarterback hell, Lawrence, Young, or Browning. I spew all kinds of venom about Bryce Young. He's a terrible quarterback, but he runs, and he gets some fantasy production. Trevor Lawrence, he's had decent production in 2 of the games. 49ers with no Nick Bosa, I think that helps. Browning, I don't think in this matchup, it's really hard to project him. Could Chase break along playing a score? Yeah, he could, but this is a problematic matchup for him. So I think for the floor, Bryce Young's going to run a bit. So I think Bryce Young may have the most stable floor. I think your boom bust play is Trevor Lawrence, because eventually BTJ is not going to drop a big pass. And they do have things that are working. They've thrown touchdown passes to Tootin, players like that. I think Strange got one. So I think Lawrence might have a little more upside here, but I think Young is probably the higher floor because of his running ability. And let's check one more thing on Bryce Young. Yeah, I got my quarterback 20, but they're playing in New England. I mean, New England's had a decent pass rush, but it's like, I don't know. It's one of those games where I think he's still going to run. I think the pass rush is going to come, and he's going to run. Trevor Lawrence is not the best matchup. 49ers do have a good secondary. I got another super chat here. Fabian, all right, you got Quinshon or DeAndre Swift. So Swift has been dinged up. He's been very inefficient, but he gets volume. But Judkins is getting volume too. Judkins has a much tougher matchup. I'll definitely give him that. But Judkins has been catching the ball a little bit too. He's shown against some tougher defense to already be good. I know the tackles are down, but this team's going to go max protect. I think Quinshon Judkins has more likelihood to score a touchdown, but Swift probably has a higher floor. So Swift is probably going to get you 8 points, right? And if he falls in the end zone, you get a better day. I think Swift is probably safer. I think Judkins, though, could make some things happen on his own. So I think Judkins had the higher ceiling. So if you want safe, even dinged up, it's probably Swift. But your upside play is going to be Judkins. And then, I told him ready to trade for Mark Andrews before last week, but Juwan Johnson is in a class of his own here. He's getting a ton of targets. He's the guy who's my tight end too. I think it's really hard to sit him because he has ceiling, but he also has an immense floor. And I think that floor means a lot. Whereas Andrews, look, if they don't throw it outfield, they're going to throw it outfield more when they get Patrick Ricard back and likely he comes back today. But last week, we didn't see that coming. But Juwan Johnson, you already know he's going to be involved. And Matt Milano is out. That's a huge thing for them. All right, let's see what we got here. Carlos, Ty Warren, or Hunter Henry? Oh, it's a good question. It's a very good question. Tyler Warren's targets have been up and down. Well, so have Henry's. Henry in week 2 didn't get a lot. It was Austin Hooper, the pest, who was eating. So there's that, right? So, but Henry has a great matchup. Warren has a middling matchup. And it all comes down to the fact of, I think Henry at the end of the day is a real favorite of Drake May. We've seen this in the middle of last year. Most games, he's averaged about 50 yards. So Warren could have a big game at any time. Henry had a massive game last week. But I think Henry, other than that week 2 game, he still is generally a player who's going to have a higher floor. So, and against Carolina, they're bad against tight ends. So I would give Henry a 51-49 edge in it, but I have Warren ranked higher. I have them like 4, but they're 4 through 9 are all like the same players. So, but I think Henry, the safety part, but Warren can have a massive game. So if you want to shoot, I don't think Henry has another big game like that. So I think your boom bust play is Warren because they could scheme him up in the end zone a couple times and he could score, and that wouldn't surprise me. Whereas Henry, you're probably looking more of like a 6 for 55 game, which is solid. So he's your floor play, but your boom bust is Warren because they could get him going. Sarah Densmore, thank you very much. Very kind words. Worthy, T. Higgins, or Shakir. Yeah, I know, right? At the beginning of the season, this looked like a wonderful trio. And now you got Jake Browning and you got Worthy in a harness and the Bills running the ball and winning so big they don't have to throw it. Shakir has the best floor of this group. And I know Higgins went for like 41 PPR points in week 17 against Denver last year. But as you know, it's no Joe Burrow. So he's tough to start. Shakir has the best floor of this group. Worthy's your boom bust play because, like I said, I've repeated it with this harness on. I think they got to use him as a downfield player. You can't run him over the middle with that shoulder. I just don't think you can. Maybe Andy Reid does that, but I don't think he does. He may make some mistakes, but Andy Reid's smart enough to know better. So Worthy's your boom bust guy. Could he get a long touchdown? 100% he can. Will he? Again, that's always dicey, right? So Shakir is safer. Worthy's your boom bust. That's how I recommend. If you just need safe points, I'd go Shakir. If you're an underdog, then you go with this boom bust play. Daniel, Juwan Johnson, Mooney, Franklin, or Downs. Again, Juwan Johnson has been bankable volume. Anything could happen, but how do you not see them Spencer Rattler throwing 45 passes again, right? I mean, Buffalo's going to get a lead most likely in this game, right? So I think you got to go with the high floor play who also has a ceiling. Would we be saying that 5 weeks ago? No, we wouldn't. All right. Sally 42, full PPR. Stephon Diggs or Wandale? Stephon Diggs' snap share hasn't been great, and he looks like a player coming off an ACL. Wandale, we have the big variable of Jackson Dart. We really don't know what that means. But I will say this. Playing the Chargers, they're going to probably have to score some points. And Wandale plays a lot of snaps, and he is a very viable short area target. I give Wandale Robinson the edge here. I probably have Wandale fairly aggressively ranked. Let's see where I got him at. 41. And I got Diggs at 48. That's where I've got them at. Yeah, and that's I stick by that too. I think I like that ranking. BTJ. Oh my God, what a great question, Jared. So it's the name against the production. Quentin Johnston's not going to score 20 touchdowns, but he's probably on pace for that right now, right? What is he? 3, 4. Well, maybe he has 17 paces for 17 touchdowns, and he's not going to score that, but he's red hot right now. And there's no reason to sit him against the Giants because why wouldn't he go off against the Giants, right? So it's going to be tough. Whereas Brian Thomas plays the 49ers, much tougher matchup. They want to get him the ball. They want to make it work. Brian Thomas is thinking through some of the drops and issues he's had. So, but that's the point. You're in this situation where you have your first round draft pick and you have a waiver wire guy, but Quentin Johnston's producing. So, look, you start Quentin Johnston and you just basically say, you know what? If Thomas proves me wrong on the bench, I don't sit him again. But at 3 games, he doesn't have 10 PPR points. Johnson's crushed that in every game. I think you got to go with take the names away and you got to go with the production. Wow, can't believe we're saying that, but that's why these are hard. That's why that's a great question. Delroy Prescott or Caleb. They're playing the Raiders. And really, and I was saying this, Caleb for fantasy has been great. 21 points minimum in all 3 games. He's a quarterback 3. Prescott, he's going to be rushed relentlessly. Kenny Gainwell down. Wonder what happened to him. Yeah, he looks like he's okay. All right. Yeah, Prescott just said he's going to be under a lot of the rest. Dallas is now 2 interior linemen. Abraham, Pollard, volume, definitely higher volume. That's a real good one. I got Geno Smith at 20 with upside. I got Purdy at 10. Purdy safer. Purdy is definitely safer because Geno Smith will have a game out of nowhere where he's just like garbage in a good matchup. But we've seen Geno also throw for 362. And the Bears don't have a pass rush and their cornerback room is a problem. So if you want to shoot for upside, don't be surprised if Geno throws for 303. It could happen. But again, he's Geno Smith. So in the same matchup, you can see him throw for 195 and 0. So Geno's your boom bust play. And there's a great case he booms, but Brock Purdy's safe. And in that Shanahan offense, he's safe. And he gets Jennings back, and that helps. So Purdy is very safe, very solid play. But if you're a big underdog in your game, then Geno Smith would be the way to go. And you notice Purdy's like, I mean, Smith's the only one I got a quarterback I marked like low, but with real upside. Abraham's same deal, but a little different here. I have these quarterbacks 10 and 11. We've seen the floor with Fields, but is Miami really capable of bringing that floor out? My answer is probably not. So I think that Justin Fields in this matchup, I don't think there's a floor game. Purdy's always safe. So if you don't feel like taking any risk, then it's Purdy. But I think this matchup is better for Fields. I think Fields will run. Fields remembers that last game he had, and there are a lot of things he did right in week 1. I would go with Fields, but again, if you need safety and you don't want to take that risk, then Purdy would be your play. And I think I answered it for someone else, maybe the same person. Well, it was QJ. And when you heard the whole explanation, I don't need to go through it again. And don't be sorry. You can ask one more anytime. Njoku or Andrews. So the problem in Cleveland right now is both tackles are down. Detroit has a great pass rush. And I know Njoku's probably the outlet, but Njoku, who's not normally thought of as a blocker, they're going to need him to block. And Andrews, we've seen both the beauty and the horror. But I think you got to give Andrews a whirl here. I think you have to give him a whirl here because Njoku maybe needed to block, and it's a really nasty matchup against Detroit. Back to Sarah, I will tell you this, though. Njoku could get 6 points, and that's a floor. He might not get much more. Whereas if Andrews goes 1 for 6, he has a lower floor. But I think 7 times out of 10 in these matchups, Andrews is the better play. Jake, Guillotine League, Sterling, Shepard, or Thornton, or Dobbs. I do like Dobbs here. Shepard, it's funny with Shepard because we've seen him sub in this year and last year when they've had injuries, and there are games when Shepard subbed in and he was like the only game in town. Like it was like when Evans and Godwin were out and he did nothing. And then you see him last week put up a good game. Dobbs is a great matchup. Thornton, again, I'm worried that Worthy's going to play some downfield role here, and that's going to cut into Thornton's work. So I'm very worried about that. So I give Dobbs the edge here because I do think it's a phenomenal matchup, and I do think they'll feel compelled to go to him. All right, let's see what we got in here. O'Marion, Hampton, Kyrie. Oh, wow, you got a tough one there. That's a great situation to be in. We saw last week Hampton getting a lot of volume as a runner and a receiver. And the Giants, they get a reputation for that, but that defensive line's a pass rushing defensive line. They are not good in run defense. So Hampton has that going for him. Kyron Williams is the king of volume. There's no question about that. He gets plenty of volume. I don't think there's anything scary about the Indy defense. Genty, we love the matchup, but he just hasn't shown us anything yet. So I think you have the luxury of waiting to see something for Genty before you move forward with him. Kelvin Austin off to the side. Oh, maybe it wasn't Gillen. Maybe it was Kenny. Maybe it was Kelvin Austin. That makes sense. Well, maybe I'm trying to answer these questions. I'm not sure if both of them got dinged up. Well, we'll find out because it looks like Caleb Johnson's in the backfield. 13:36 left. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see. Oh, nice run. All right. So I think that Kyron Williams is safe. So you start him for safety. You know you got bankable volume, but I think the ceiling play is Hampton because Hampton showed last week he's that guy. So I think Hampton's your ceiling play. He has a decent floor too, though. If it's my lineup, and where do I have him ranked? Kyron is always at 10 because he gets that volume. Hampton's at 12, and those are right next to each other. So I think if it's my lineup, though, I might, if I want some pop, I put Hampton in there. But again, floor play, you know where to go with the floor play. All right, Dylan. Yes, Dylan, let's have a day. We definitely want that. So, yeah, Gainwell's on the side, and looks like Caleb Johnson's getting a little bit of work here. All right, 2 different leagues. You need to win. Yes, get that. Mariota or Tua. You know what? Mariota has played parts of 3 games, 1 full and 2 partial games for Jaden Danielson. Every game, he's been like a quarterback 1. And the beauty that we see this week is he's playing Atlanta. And I know Atlanta's getting a lot of hype for this and that. Okay, whatever. They're Atlanta. They got a couple of young passers. They're not Supermen. So I think this is no problem of a matchup. And he's going to run, whereas Tua doesn't run. And look, Tua could throw for 303 touchdowns, but he also could throw for 130 and none. I think the running quarterback is the way to go because of the safety of it. I think that's the way you go there. I would not blink, and I would say Mariota. I have him close, 15-17. But I think it's too much of a risk thinking Tua will have the game, because if they can run the ball, I think they will do that here. Shaheed or Luther Burden. Shaheed has more guaranteed volume. Burden was schemed in that game last week against Dallas. I said going into that game that Ben Johnson would make it a point to get Caleb Williams going. What I didn't think through the rest is that he would get Luther Burden and his tight end Colson Loveland going. For Loveland had a 30-yard catch before he got hurt. And but we also had Burden get on that play. So very important to note that. So all that said, I go at Rashid Shaheed, more bankable volume. All right, see what we got here. Delroy. I am going with Fields here, despite the risk. And I had the same question in my leagues. Let's see. All right, see what we're at here. Higgins or Wandale. Wandale has, in my mind, a higher floor. They're going to need him in the middle of the field. So I think that's going to be really important. So we'll go with him. Let me just check something real quick. Okay, good. I have to check some of my volume real quick here. So let me just do this in the AirPods. Good. Okay, it's like James Koh will be coming out. So I want to make sure my headphones up for when James comes in. Okay, so I'm going to go with Wandale here. It's really hard to trust Higgins with Jake Browning right now. Wandale is a volume guy. And I think they have similar ceilings. All right, and then Yo Gotti, Fields or Geno Smith. All touchdowns are 6 points. So I have Fields at quarterback 11. This is not a scary matchup against Miami. So that's important to note. And Geno Smith has a great matchup. But again, he's really boom bust because there's games we think he'll go off and he does nothing. So I just think you go with the running quarterback with Justin Fields here. If the matchup was any worse, I would say no. But that's the way I recommend to go. Sally, Juwan Jennings, or T. Higgins. So the expectation is he plays. I still go. Man, it's so hard to play Higgins right now. And where did I rank them at? Juwan Jennings had the injury, so I don't even know where I put him on the injury list here. I mean, I put him at 27, and then I put T. Higgins at 30. And like I said, it's close. I give Jennings the edge. It's just so hard to trust Higgins right now because of his quarterback. Juan, you need to use. You got James Koh in the house. Yes, sir. James Koh. Welcome in, my friend.
What's up? Good morning to you, pal.
Yes, sir. We are in week 4. We're talking right now. Juan has a question. He has 2-player full PPR, Tyreek, Keenan Allen, and Pearsall. Who you sitting in there, James?
Oh, my goodness gracious. I probably feel like Keenan Allen is going to come back to earth at some point here. Although Pearsall is dealing with an injury, so I would try to pick between those two. And this is a really tough call because Tyreek Hill's offense in general is not great either. So I don't have, unfortunately, I don't have a great read on this. But I think if it was my personal team, I think I'd play Tyreek Hill and Ricky Pearsall.
All right, sounds like a winner there. James, let's go through some quick injury notes for the day and see what we have here. Tristan Wirfs is active. Yay, because they're missing their right guard and their right tackle. So does this give Baker Mayfield a little more opportunity having Wirfs, or does it not make a difference against Philly? What do you think?
I think so. Again, Tristan Wirfs is all world. Even if he's at 80%, you're getting an upgrade at the offensive line. So it should help Bucky Irving considerably. And I do think overall it'll help the passing game. Having Chris Godwin back too will help that passing game a little bit. So I think Baker Mayfield's in a pretty good spot.
Tyrone Tracy is expected as doubtful and now ruled out, so we knew he wasn't going to play. What does that mean for Cam Skadbo? Is Devin Singletary going to be the boogeyman that never goes away, or is Skadbo going to pick up where he left off last week and continue to have rushing, receiving, and red zone usage?
Yeah, it feels like it's going to be a full Cam Skadbo game, So I would say I'd probably lean on him quite a bit. I do feel good about his usage. If last week was any indication, and again, that can be a little bit tricky because Tyrone Tracy got hurt mid-game. So sometimes if, the coaching staff doesn't have time to get Devin Singletary up to speed on the game plan, they don't feel comfortable going to Devin Singletary, right? This is going to be completely different where, you've got a whole week of practice. Okay, now that being said, we know both running backs will be used, But again, will Scatabo play 80% of the snaps? I don't think so. But I do think he'll be the lead back of a 65-35 split. Tevin Singletary will be in the mix, certainly. But Scatabo's got some hands, and obviously he can run between the tackles.
If somebody's in a super deep league and they're desperate at running back, could they add Singletary as a desperation flex?
A desperation, in PPR, I think it's what are you getting out here, right? Because how good is the Giants' offense? It's not
Terrible.
that good, you know? So, and to be honest with you, it's funny because Jackson Dart's going to come in. I'm going to be 100% honest with you, Jim. I don't think it's an upgrade. I don't think he's very good. And I think he's going to get absolutely exposed in a horrible matchup against the Chargers. Like, what are the Giants that don't throw him out there against the Chargers, bro? Like, that's a terrible idea.
Right.
I think it's a downgrade, and I think the offense is not going to be very good. Now, that being said, if you absolutely need a running back play who's going to get some snaps, some carries, some receptions, I think Devin Singletary certainly will be that guy.
All right, one more thing before we get to some questions. Adoree Jackson, cornerback for the Eagles, is out. They were struggling at that corner spot anyway.
Yeah.
Coach Fangio said that he would use Mitchell in some shadow situations. Abuka is the lead receiver. Godwin's coming back from injury, probably playing this slot coming back from injury. If they do go the route of putting Mitchell on Abuka, what are your thoughts? Also knowing that Tampa has a diminished protection on the right side.
It's a little bit interesting, right? Because that second corner spot has been a problem for Philly all year long. The shadow situation is going to be interesting. I'll be curious to see if they actually do it, though. They sometimes say stuff like this, and I just don't I don't totally buy it. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. I don't think Abuka. I would be surprised. I don't know. What's your thoughts here, Jim? I would be surprised if they thought that Abuka deserved shadow coverage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'd be. We'll see.
I'm downgrading Abuka a bit because I think Philly thinks we are going to make them struggle. Bucky's not running well, and Godwin's coming back from a long-term injury, and we could really gunk this up. So let's watch the game and see what I think. So I get a couple more questions here, James, before you rotate over. Vinny asks, Geno or Indiana Jones?
I am gonna go with Indiana Jones here. I think he's been playing really, really well. It's supposed to be a pretty high scoring game. 49.5 is the over under total on this game. So I think, Vegas is anticipating a higher scoring game. It's supposed to be one of the 2 or 3 highest scoring games of the weekend. So, I will take Jones here. I don't feel great about it, but again, I think it's supposed to be a pretty high scoring game. Let's go.
Yeah, and Indy should be fine. Like, Jones, the point guard here. He has options all over the place. The Rams have tiny corners. They could take advantage of those. So, yeah, it should be fun to watch. And then Lee asks, Kirk or Tillman full point? Kirk had 8 targets last week. Tillman, Cleveland is down both starting offensive tackles against Detroit. Thoughts there?
I think Tillman should have a really nice bounce back week. That being said, Kirk is one of my favorite sleepers this week because, Tennessee does give up a lot of production to the slot. And as a matter of fact, I got this number here. I'll just pull it up for you. So against slot receivers here, Tennessee has allowed the 3rd most yards and the 3rd most receptions. Actually, they've allowed the most yards to receivers lined up in the slot, and they've allowed the 3rd most receptions to receivers lined up in the slot. Overall, they've allowed the 4th most fantasy points to receivers lined up in the slot. So I do like Christian Kirk. He had the 2nd most routes run and 8 targets last week as well. So the volume is clearly there.
100% on that. Yeah, I love the target volume. So hopefully that builds a little bit. So this is one, James, and we were talking about this earlier in the show. It's like we're in week 4 now. Now we almost got to look at the production and take the name off the player. This looks like it's Tyreek Hill, Quentin Johnson. Tyreek Hill's been fine, putting up fine floor numbers. But Quentin Johnson has been a much better fantasy player. So what do you do?
At some point, Johnson's got to come back to earth. No, I don't think he's this guy. I just Look, I think the coaching staff has definitely put him in a position to succeed. That being said, there's no question QJ has developed as a player too. Like the fact that he's tracking deep shots over his shoulder is such a huge aspect and a progress and development for his game. It's just shocking to actually see him catch a deep shot over his shoulder. So obviously he has developed. That being said, look, coverages are still dictating and rotating towards Ladd McConkey. That's going to stop at some point. You just can't let Keenan Allen and especially Quentin Johnston beat you over the top. Ladd's going to start to eat at some point, and I think the slow start through 3 weeks. Justin Herbert knows these things. You know, he's very cognizant of it. I wouldn't be surprised if today's a Ladd McConkey 15 target day. You know, so I think at some point Quentin Johnston comes back. I probably trust Hill just a touch more, just a little bit. I don't think it's that clear, but I do trust Hill just a little bit more.
But it's funny we're having this discussion. The fact that we're actually talking Quentin Johnston, and it's right. It's a fair question. All right, let's see. We got her. Chris asks half point, a receiver and a flex. Ibuka, Pearsall, McConkey, Swift, Keenan Allen, Trey Henderson.
Oh my goodness gracious! You need one wide receiver, one flex. I still definitely want to. Oh my gosh, this is a stacked unit right here.
Right.
I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I like Travion Henderson. I don't love Travion Henderson. I'm a little bit. I don't know. I know that he's probably going to be the starter here. But how much are they going to work in Ramondre Stevenson? I'm so my brain is in a pretzel in regards to Travion Henderson. Right. I don't think he's. By the way, I charted him in the offseason, and he struggles with breaking tackles. When he has a clear runway, he's amazing. But in the NFL, you just don't have that many clear runways, right? So I think he's a good player. I just don't think he's so much better than Ramondre that he deserves like a 70% snap share. That's all I'm saying. But if I'm going one wide receiver, one flex, I think I'm still leaning McConkey. And if we're worried about the shadow coverage, maybe I'll go Pearsall here, man. I don't know. This is a really, really strong group, though. And honestly, I think you really can't go wrong with any of these players that you pick here.
Xavier Scott with the receiving touchdown in garbage time for Minnesota. You got to love the NFL.
Love it.
24-12, going for 8 minutes left. All right, Harlan has a question here. Fields or Knicks? And then Ollie Gordon and Stevenson.
Do you take a risk on Ollie Gordon? No, you know what? I'm still going to play Stevenson. Ollie Gordon still is not going to be playing that much, and they've just shown that he's just not going to play that much, you know? Will Miami also work in Jalen Wright just a little bit more as well? I think Ollie Gordon probably sees, I don't know, maybe 5 to 7 touches in this ball game. Yeah, you know, Stevenson for me, I think definitely will see more than that. So I'll still take Stevenson there. And if I'm going Fields or Knicks, I probably trust Knicks more, but I do think that Fields, because of his rushing upside, gives you a higher ceiling.
And let's see. Got TS asking us, full PPR needs a flex. DJ Moore, Devontae Smith, or David Montgomery?
I mean, they're still using David Montgomery to a high degree, so I'm going to say he gives you the best floor. I know it's full point PPR. Maybe we're tempted by DJ Moore here. Devontae Smith just too inconsistent. I mean, the guy could give you 4. He could give you, 14. I just don't know where we're going here, but I like the overall volume here for David Montgomery. I'm probably trusting him the most.
Caden asks Trey Tucker or Waddle.
Wow.
Right? Where are we at? We're in week 4.
Where are we at right now? Trey Tucker. I know Trey Tucker's coming off a 40-point game, so obviously there is some hope and optimism that he can continue doing what he's doing. I will say this. Look, if defenses continue to stack the box like they are against Las Vegas, will Chicago do that? I'm not sure. I actually don't think they will. But if they continue to stack the box, against Las Vegas. Trey Tucker will still have opportunities over the top, and I think that's what we saw last week, right? So, Ashton Ginty is one of the most, difficult evaluations because, again, I think he individually he's playing really, really well, but he's running against stacked boxes at one of the highest clips I've ever seen. And it's making it really, really difficult. So if we're trying to go Trey Tucker or Jalen Waddle, I probably trust Waddle a lot more than Trey Tucker. I think Tucker is out there and being utilized, but he's an inconsistent player himself. Not a great man separator. So I will say Waddle on this one.
Yeah, that's the thing, the consistency. I mean, Tucker's playing 90% of the snaps, but he's a very inconsistent player. The routes he runs, very inconsistent. We'll do one more here, and I'll bounce out of here, James. We'll do an R-Shaft question. He has 2 of them. I'll give you one, and I'll bounce. Which rookie for your running back 2? Sampson, who had 1 touch last week, Woody Marks, or Kyle Monangai?
I'm going to go Woody Marks here. He had 50% snap share last week, and the matchup against Tennessee is good. They have allowed 4 different 15-plus PPR running backs to score on them through 3 weeks, so that's pretty good. Woody Marks is also an inconsistent player, not that great between the tackles, but he can run outside pretty well. It makes it a little bit confusing because Houston does run between the tackles at a 75% rate, which is the highest in the NFL by far. So I don't really trust Marks that much. That being said, he's getting the most snaps of this entire unit, which, again, if we're playing fantasy football, all we care about is snaps and volume, and that's what we're going with here. So I'll lean on Marks.
Sampson thing is funny because before last week's game, I was on XM with Alan Soslowski, and he was chirping up Sampson, and I said, dude, Quinshon Judkins is his job now. Sampson's going to be a ghost. No, he's not. 1 touch. Thank you very much. On that, crazy. James Koh, you're the best. Have a great show.
Hey, man, did you get to all the super chats, or do I need to get to
Super chats are all caught up. 12 of them.
Okay, good.
12 of them knocked out. If you see a change to 13, then you got to jump into one.
Love it.
Have a great show, James.
You too, pal. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you. Bye.
All right, Disco Dave, what's going on? PPR. What do we got here? Juwan Johnson? Y'all need to help me help you. You know what I mean? Like when I go and see Jay Johnson, I'm like, oh my goodness gracious, who are we talking about here? McMillan or Ibuka? I'm gonna go. I think I'm going Ibuka here. He's been too consistent. I think he's too big of a part of this game plan. Mike Evans still out, obviously. I think he'll see the most work. The Quinyon Mitchell shadowing situation does concern me just a little bit. But I think overall Ibuka will see the most targets of that group, Disco. So I'm probably going with Ibuka right there. Pedro Resto, would you trade Devontae Smith and Dobbs for McMillan? Oh, man. I feel like you're giving up a lot there. I do love Tet. I love Tet. Man. I probably am not doing that trade just because I think, Bryce Young, I don't think has been playing very well. And will he revert back to what we saw previously? But Ted McMillan is playing on an individual basis so well. And he is so good. I'm very excited about Ted McMillan's future, just not with Bryce Young. I don't know. We'll see. I feel like you're giving up a little bit too much there, but I will say this. You're probably getting the highest ceiling in that trade, Pedro. So if your thought is, okay, let me just go get the highest upside, it's definitely with Ted McMillan. Follow-up question here. What are your thoughts on Christian Kirk in Houston remainder of the year? I think he's the number 2 wide receiver so long as he plays. We'll see if any of those second-round guys those Iowa State boys can make a breakthrough. I love Jalen Noel, but can he get on the football field, or do they view Jalen Noel as more of a special teams player? We'll see. So, again, we do have to see whether or not any of those Iowa State boys do come through. But right now, I think it's Christian Kirk. To be honest, if we're looking at what preseason usage told us, if we're looking at what the first game back from an injury, Christian Kirk is telling us. I think Houston is telling us that it's Christian Kirk. So I don't know. I'm trusting that a little bit more. Domo, half PPR 2 flex league. Do I trade ETN for Tet? No. Running back has more value than wide receiver. ETN's been playing really, really well. I know I do. Tet McMillan, I agree. I'm with you. Tet has been playing incredible football, so it's great. You've got CMC, JT, Mason. Hey, Mason's not going to be the starter forever, guys. So I would love, to still have some of that roster flexibility with ETN. JT and CMC, obviously your starters. You can stick ETN in the flex. You can stick ETN in there for the flex weeks as well. For wide receiver, you've got Tyreek Pickens, Olave, and Mike Evans. Mike Evans will be back. I think Olave, Tyreek Pickens, that's okay. I think that's okay for, oh, and it's a double flex league too. Yeah, no, let me go ahead and keep ETN, especially for that roster flexibility there. All right, let's go. Ethan Batterman. PPR need to. Swift, Hubbard, Chase. Chuba is playing, but he's banged up. Chase Brown's, oh my goodness gracious. Can that offense get any worse? I think a bounce back week at some point will happen. But man, it's just, he just absolutely cannot get going. He's hitting the backfield more than any other running back in the NFL. And I'm not saying that like as a personal statement. No, that's true. There's literally statistically no running back hitting the backfield more often than Chase Brown right now. So I am going to go Swift, obviously, and I will lean Hubbard here, even though he is a little bit banged up. I think that Hubbard's probably the more safe call than Chase Brown, which is sad. This is just sad. I just don't think defenses are respecting what Cincinnati does through the air. They're daring Jake Browning to throw the ball, and they're crowding the box, and thus Chase Brown, he's getting smashed. And oh, by the way, the Cincy O-line, they stink. I mean, it's horrific. It is so bad. What is going on in Cincinnati's O-line right now? Della Jeezy. First of all, great icon. That's awesome. Start Caleb or Daniel Jones. I'm probably trusting Jones just a little bit more because of the over-under total. Caleb is in an interesting spot. He's got Las Vegas. Obviously, he's a sleeper this week. Las Vegas has been giving up some production to the quarterback spot, but last week he had a great game against Dallas. Dallas is one of the worst defenses in the NFL. As a matter of fact, check that. They are the worst defense in the NFL, especially from a pass game perspective. Las Vegas is not great, but I think it is. I think Chicago and Caleb may run into a little bit more resistance than they saw last week. So I'm probably trusting Jones the most. Obviously he's got the best pass catching group. Like, we love Rome, but that Indianapolis group is really, really good, guys. Adonai Mitchell should step in for Alec Pierce today. The Rams have some small corners, as Jim mentioned, which I highlighted in one of my sleeper columns as well, which is why I do like Adonai Mitchell this week. Adonai Mitchell, 6'2", 210 pounds. I think he'll have a interesting opportunity in front of him if Daniel Jones uncorks a deep ball this week. So I will lean on Daniel Jones. He's been a more consistent player. And quite frankly, the over-under total and the overall offensive ecosystem for me, I feel more comfortable with Daniel Jones there. Okay, Parsonator78, great handle. Also a great icon. That's really cool. Start 2, Debo, Pearsall, Pollard, Sutton. Okay, so we're starting Debo with Terry McLaurin out. We're starting Debo there. I like Pearsall, I think, the most. Yeah, so we're going Pearsall there too. The injury does concern me just a little bit, but overall, we're going with Pearsall. Too much volume, too good of a player. Really good player is Ricky Pearsall. Pollard scares me a little bit just because they haven't been running the rock that well, and Sutton obviously is a little bit inconsistent, but I do like him too. Look, you've got a great group here, Parsonator. You do. But if I'm chasing the upside, and this is half PPR, I'm going to go Debo and Pearsall, I think, a little bit more than Pollard, although Pollard does interest me here as well. Not quite as interested in Sutton, to be honest with you. Probably take Sutton out of this group, and of that 3, I'm leading Debo, Pearsall. I might talk myself into Pollard too. So that one, Pearsall, Pollard is a little bit of a toss-up for me. But no, you know what? Go Debo, Pearsall. Let's go. Della Jeezy, you need to start 1. Debo, Ginty, and Pickens. I want to say Ginty, man. I love Ashton Ginty. I think he's a good player. I just got done charting him. He's doing really, really well on an individual basis, but he is seeing so many loaded boxes. He's seeing unblocked defenders at an incredible rate. So I am probably leaning towards Debo Samuel here. I will lean Debo. I don't feel great about it, but I will lean there. Brian Upton. Waka Waka Waka. What's up, man? Rest of season, half PPR. Tootin or Spears? Oh, Tootin. Spears. Look, I like Spears too. Tyjae Spears, but again, I think I probably lean on Tootin here. Remember, Tootin is the guy that that this coaching staff and this new GM they drafted Tootin. They're utilizing Tootin. They felt more better. They felt so much more better about Tootin than they did about Tank Bigsby. They traded Tank Bigsby. That's crazy to me. So yeah, he can run outside zone. They're going to utilize outside zone a lot under Liam Cohen. So yeah, I like Tootin way more than Tyjae Spears. Delroy, what up, brother? Full PPR pick 1. We got Io Manor. Everyone on the line is calling him Ayo. And I'm like, all right, that sounds pretty cool. I'll go with Ayo. Sure, why not? Alec Io Manor, Ramondre Stevenson, Cedric Tillman, Sterling Shepard. I think we could take Sterling Shepard out. I think he is a sleeper. But again, when you're talking about Emeka Ibuka, when you're talking about Chris Godwin coming back, where are we at with Sterling Shepard's target share? I would say I probably trust him the least of that group. Ramondre Stevenson, again, the fumbles have me concerned. I would probably either lean on Tillman or Io Manor. I'm probably leaning on Tillman here. Tillman, look, last week was obviously a tough situation. But Cleveland versus Detroit, I think we're okay. I think we're all right. Let me take a look at this. Let me give you a couple numbers here in regards to Detroit. Detroit against outside wide receivers has allowed the 7th most fantasy points to outside wide receivers. So I think you're in a pretty good spot. Remember, Rome Odunze went for nearly 32 fantasy points against them. And outside wide receivers overall have been somewhat productive. Now, I know Zay Flowers got held to nothing last week, but remember, Rashad Bateman had a pretty nice game as well. So, no, I think the matchup is okay for Cedric. Let's go ahead and go lean on Cedric Tillman there. Yo, Gotti, what up? Geno or Fields? All touchdowns and rush touchdowns are 6 points. So passing and rush are 6 points. I am okay. So Jalen Johnson is out for Chicago, which ups the ceiling and floor for Geno Smith. I am probably going to go with Fields right here. I'm going to go with Fields. Coming back from his concussion, Miami's defense stinks. Miami stinks in general. Let's go with Fields. I think Fields is the play. Austin Slaughter, what's up, man? Good to see you this morning. Chase Brown, DeAndre Swift, or dude, y'all got to help me out here. Who is Jay Johnson? Juwan Johnson. My brain is not working right now, bro. Like, who is Jay Johnson? Hunter Henry? Oh, I see. Okay, it's a tight end question. So it's Juwan Johnson or Hunter Henry. Dude, first of all, let me apologize. Let me apologize to whoever asked me about Hunter Henry last week, and I was like, I don't really care about Hunter Henry, and Hunter Henry goes out there and scores 2 touchdowns. So whoever I said that to, dude, that's my bad. By the way, I still feel that way, but I should have been so dismissive, and I do feel bad. But Austin Slaughter, to get to your question, I'm going to go DeAndre Swift right here. And I think I am going Juwan Johnson still. I know Hunter Henry had a huge game, but the volume metrics are very much in favor of Juwan Johnson. So I'll go Juwan Johnson, DeAndre Swift. But tight end, as you guys know, is very volatile, man. A lot of it depends on touchdowns. Quiros Chavez in the flex. And you've got Angry Kirby as your icon, which is dope. In the flex, would you rather have Adams, Judkins, or Golden? Adams is coming with a little bit of an injury that does give me some pause, but I think there's just too much. I think there's just too much upside there. I'm heavily invested in this Minnesota game, by the way. I've got Carson Wentz as one of my starting quarterbacks in a big money league, and I need him to go, and he's not going. He's got a chance right here to get a second touchdown. Let's go. Okay, I would rather have Adams because I trust the upside a lot more. Judkins is still interesting. Judkins is still very, very good. but the offense in general is not very good, if that makes sense, you know? So like what is the what's the scoring upside, touchdown upside for Judkins? I think Adams has a really, really good shot in what should be a high scoring game. Kells, what's up, man? Kells 22. Devontae Adams, Ricky P. Cortland Sutton picked 2 in PPR. I'm picking the first 2, Devontae and Ricky P. I don't think there's any question for me in PPR. Sutton is really, really good. I know he had a nice game last week, but still, though, I feel like so much of his production is still tied to touchdowns, which makes me a little hesitant, if that makes sense. Adams and Sutton for you, huh? Okay, Kuros, that's okay. Hey, man, I get it. Olave, Adams, Golden, or Judkins? I think I answered that question. Yeah, we did. Julian Ortiz, JCM, Bill, or Swift, full point PPR. We're going Swift. Listen, Bill, look, I know the hype on Bill has been great, but has he performed at all? Yo, has JCM performed at all? I don't think so. I don't think so. So yeah, I'm not, look, I don't have a great read on it, you know, but they're using Chris Rodriguez quite a bit. It's a 3-man rotate. It's a full-on running back committee, 3-person running back committee there in Washington. And oh, by the way, they have a running quarterback too who can steal some goal line work. So I'm going Swift, man. I know Swift has not been a world beater, but I trust him a lot more than JCM. I don't know. R Shaft, what's going on? Pearsall. It's like the European way to say it. Pearsall. Or Waddle or Downs. I am very interested in Downs this week, by the way. No Alec Pierce. Could a little target share open up? Do they trust Adonai Mitchell? Adonai Mitchell apparently had a great training camp. So Adonai Mitchell is in my target list for sleepers this week. But still, overall, I would say, you know, I think Downs has been a really consistent player for them, but they don't just utilize him that often. So give me Ricky Pearsall in this one. I'll take Ricky Pearsall. Jay Money, what's up, brother? PPR, second flex. Should you start Trey Tucker or Hunter Henry? Feel like the Raiders will be in a shootout. Hunter has the Panthers. I already have Ferguson as a tight end. Yeah, Ferguson saw like a billion, quadrillion targets last week. I think that target share will come down. There's no question. But yeah, you still have to play him because obviously Dak trusts him quite a bit. So second PPR though, second flex in your PPR, I am going to say I probably trust. I'm still going to, oh man. I'm going to go Hunter Henry right there. I don't love it. Both are really inconsistent, but I will say Hunter Henry. I've really liked the quarterback play there in New England, and clearly Drake May trust Hunter Henry there too. Trey Tucker is just so interesting. What an interesting player. Again, they crowd the box so much. Will Chicago do that? I'm not sure. It's really hard to say, guys, whether is Dennis Allen going to go down there and bring a safety into the box, especially considering they don't have Jalen Johnson? I don't think so. If Jalen Johnson were there, I could see them crowding the box, which then could open up some over-the-top plays for Trey Tucker. But again, if they still go with their normal too high shell, I still think, Trey Tucker might be in a little bit of a spot. So I don't know. I'm going to go. I actually really think that Ashton Jinty has a nice bounce back week this week because I think they can't load the box, man. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I'm probably trusting Hunter Henry just a little bit more. Joe Egan, Odunze or London full PPR. First of all, wow, what a choice. You have 2 really good players there. I'm trying to find a way to play both. If possible. I love Odunze. London obviously has struggled just a little bit. Washington, though, has been giving up production through the air. So thus, I do think that sorry, man, I'm just I'm just trying to make sure I catch up on all these injuries. Again, London is a really, really good player, man. I think he does have a nice bounce back week against Washington. Odunze, though, is a must start. Again, if I have to just pick one, we got to go Odunze. He has been an absolute must start for me. Coyote SB. Pick 2 in full PPR. Chase Brown. Don't like that. DJ Moore, Jawan Jennings, Chris Godwin. Well, we're not playing Godwin. You can go ahead and take him out. We want to play Olave. Too much target share. He's seeing double-digit targets practically each and every week. So go ahead and give me Olave. And then Chase Brown or DJ Moore, Jawan Jennings. Jennings is really coming in a little banged up. Feel a little bit weird about that one, not going to lie to you. Maybe I go Olave, and I think I'm going Olave. Man, DJ Moore has been so de-emphasized in that offense, too. You know what? Screw it. Give me Jennings. Give me Chris Olave and Jennings. When Jennings is out there, he gets the ball a lot, especially if we're talking about Brock Purdy playing. Go ahead and give me Olave and Juwan Jennings. Man, I hate it, too, because I think DJ Moore's a good player, but he's just been so de-emphasized in that offense, man. Uncle Ted, Luke McCaffrey. What? Oh, is the Commanders wide receiver to play? Uncle Ted, what are we doing out here, bro? Cowboys defense sucks. Yes, they do. They do indeed. Jonathan Richmond Dreyfus. How do you feel about this trade? I only have one quarterback, which is Dak. Can't play Dak this week. At least I don't think so, man. You want to try to play Dak against Micah Parsons in a revenge game? No thanks. No CeeDee Lamb? No thank you. I get Drake May, and you give Dak Prescott. Look, this week I don't want to play Dak, but I trust Dak a hell of a lot more than I trust Drake May. CeeDee Lamb's coming back at some point here. But if you need W's like right this second, yeah, okay. I'll take Drake May over Dak Prescott over for like the next couple weeks. I don't even have, let me look at their schedules real quick here. So Dallas has Green Bay and the Jets, which is problematic. And then he gets Carolina, which is good. Then he gets Washington, which is good. Then he has Denver. So the 5 games are really, really tough. Meanwhile, New England has Carolina. Buffalo is a little tougher, but still not that great. New Orleans is a really good matchup, and I think Tennessee is a pretty good matchup too. Cleveland is a little tricky there. Then he's got Atlanta, Tampa Bay. You know what? I like New England's schedule a lot better. So, yeah, let's make that trade. And then just see what's going on. Kal-El, what's going on, Superman? Flex spot, Deebo Samuel, Jake Ferguson. Oh, we're playing Jake. This is PPR? If it's PPR, we're playing Jake. Look, he's just seeing too much volume right now. I like Deebo. I love Deebo. I think Deebo's in a great spot. I think Deebo's in a wonderful spot, to be honest with you. He's in an awesome spot against Atlanta. That being said, Ferguson's seeing so. If this is full point PPR, let me go Ferguson. If it's half point or standard Dino League, give me Deebo. Austin Slaughter Guillotine League, pick 2. Pickens. Pickens will see some volume, but overall the offensive ecosystem feels a little weird there. JMO against Cleveland, I don't want any piece of that. Tet versus New England. Christian Gonzalez is back. I'm a little bit worried about Tet. Cortland Sutton. I guess Christian Gonzalez is not officially back, but I think he's back. Sounds like he's going to be back. Cortland against Cincinnati. Quentin Johnson against the Giants. Pick 2. If I'm picking 2, give me the guys with the most volume, and that would be George Pickens and Tet. Wow, I don't like a lot of that though. Honestly, let me go. Okay, let me try to combine a little bit of floor with a little bit of upside. So, give me George Pickens, who I think is going to have a good floor. Give me George Pickens, who I think is going to have a decent floor. And then give me, let me chase a little bit of upside here. Let me chase a little bit of upside with Cortland Sutton against Cincinnati's defense. If I'm trying to blend the two. If I want to go 2 safest picks, I think it's George Pickens, Ted McMillan, because I think those guys will see the most volume. If I'm trying to blend a little bit of upside there, give me George Pickens and Cortland Sutton. All right. Michael Kuchar. Half PPR Chaser Allen. Keenan Allen? Braylon Allen? My God. Chase Brown? Jamar Chase? Dog, I have no idea who you're talking about, bro. You mentioned worst playing as a plus, which obviously it is, but it's not like Philly's edge rush is amazing. It's all about the interior. Oh, because their interior pass rush is better. Yeah, I would agree with that, but to say that their edge rush is not good, well, I guess you're right. It's not amazing. Still good, though. Still good, though, Vaughn. Delroy Scarlett, full PPR. David Njoku. I'm assuming? Njoku? David Njoku? Dude. Again, sorry, y'all. I can't even decipher. Flex 1, full PPR. Bill, JCM, Hollywood, or Jennings. So Hollywood's going to be... Hollywood's interesting, but they've got a couple pieces coming back for KC. I'm probably not playing him. I really just... Look, JCM's in a three-way timeshare. You know? I think we're talking about Juwan Jennings here, right? So again, give me Juwan Jennings. Dumbest thing I've heard all day. Chargers lay hella eggs. You'll be eating crow and dart all day. Okay. Cool. You think that me saying Jackson Dart is not a good quarterback is the dumbest thing you've heard all day? All right, cool. Great. Full point PPR. David Njoku, Alec Iomanner. I trust Alec Iomanner more. And I think Cam Ward does too. Cam Ward seems to really like Alec Iomanner. And man, they have been saying some tough talk around Calvin Ridley. We'll see if he can get it going today. But we'll see if those words either motivate him or make him go into more of a shell. Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley's either going to continue to have crappy days or he is going to absolutely break out. I don't see like a mid road for Calvin Ridley this week. I feel like it's hero or zero, baby, for Calvin Ridley this week. But yeah, I'm going to trust Alec Iomanner just a little bit more. Cold Sweat, wide receiver, who you starting, Pickens or Pearsall? Oh my gosh, Pittsburgh on a 4th and 1 with 1:09 left to go here. Okay, I don't know what's going on. Anyways, it looks like they had to call timeout. Okay, Pickens or Pearsall? I'm going to pick Pearsall. Pickens, again, against Green Bay, is in a tough spot. He will see good volume, but Pearsall is going to see great volume too. So, yeah, go ahead and give me Ricky Pearsall over George Pickens, who I think is in a healthier offensive environment overall. Boomer Warlord. Wow, what a name. Thoughts on Trey Tucker today? I think Trey Tucker comes back to earth. Look, he put up a 40 spot last week. I get it. I understand. I don't think Chicago, with Jalen Johnson being out, is going to crowd the box like other teams have. Right? When you look at what Las Vegas is doing, right? Las Vegas took on Washington, and Washington crowded the box. The Chargers are going to crowd the box no matter what. And then they saw New England, which I think, has a above average defense as well. I think Chicago has to go a little bit more base this week against Las Vegas. And if that's the case, don't be surprised if you see some more targets to Jacoby Myers, to Jack Besh, and to, Ashton Genty hopefully will get rolling this week. So I think Trey Tucker does come back to earth. That being said, if Chicago and Dennis Allen do decide to get super aggressive, yeah, Trey Tucker will still find some deep shots over the top. So, look, he's a highly volatile play. I'm saying this, and I'm saying, look, he could see 3 targets in this game. If one of them is a 50-yard bomb for touch, you're golden. You're golden, right? So hard to predict those kind of things, but overall, you know what? As a matter of fact, I'll give you one more stat. I will give you one more stat versus on deep passes this year. Chicago, where are they at? Chicago on deep passes this year. Oh, interesting. They have allowed the 4th most yards on deep passes this year. They are bottom 10 in terms of completion percentage. They've allowed a 50% completion rate on deep passes this year, which is 10th worst in the NFL. And overall, they have allowed the 3rd most fantasy points per game on deep shots this year. So that does, again, it's just a small sample. It's a very small sample on deep shots. But again, through three weeks, Chicago has given up some production there. So that's interesting. That's interesting. So again, let's up the ceiling here for Trey Tucker. I think the floor is still the same, but I will up the ceiling on Trey Tucker today. Delroy Scott, full point PPR, David Njoku or Brenton Strange. I trust Brenton Strange more than David Njoku because Harold Fannin is really pushing him right now. They're running a ton of 12 personnel in Cleveland, tons. But that being said, Fannin seems to be soaking up a lot more targets than David Njoku over David Njoku. Fannin over David Njoku right now. Okay, here we go. Hunter Badger. You've got Waddle, Trey Tucker, I think is what you're trying to say here. Trey Tucker, Kirk, and Ridley. Who should I start in the flex? Man. I trust Waddle the most, even though he's, I mean, I don't know. If we're talking just pure talent level, it's obviously Waddle. And then I would probably go, to be honest with you, me personally, I'm probably playing Kirk right there. Again, 8 targets last week. He ran the second most routes. Tennessee's giving up a ton of production to slot receivers this year, or receivers in the slot. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say Christian Kirk. If we want just pure upside play, we're going to go Trey Tucker. But let me lean on Christian Kirk there just a little bit, and let's see what's going on. Matt Gingerich. I don't know. I like the name though. Again, I love the name. Flex Drake or Tet. Drake or Tet? Drake London? Yo, if it's Drake London, we're playing Drake London over Tet. And I get it. I understand the offense has not been good, but it's not like Washington's defense has been good. They've been giving a lot of production to outside wide receivers. Hold on, let me look this up for you. Washington has given up. Again, they are what? They're bottom 12 in terms of production given up to outside wide receivers. They just look. They obviously just gave up that 40 spot to Trey Tucker. So there is that. They gave up 12 PPR points to Romeo Doubs in week number 2. They gave up 12 PPR points to Malik Neighbors there in week number 1. I think Drake London is in a really good spot. I think you're talking about Drake, right? I don't know. Austin Slaughter, Bo Nix, J Love. We're playing Jordan Love against that Dallas defense. Yeah, we're playing Jordan Love, man. Music Therapist, what's up, man? Golden or Godwin? Great handle. Love the handle. Golden or Godwin? I'm trusting. Look, I don't know how much Godwin's going to play, but he's coming off of a major injury. It's his first game back. If they give him a full complement of snaps and plays, I think that feels like medical malpractice or something, man. For this week and this week only, give me Golden. Golden against Dallas's defense has the higher upside. I like Romeo Doubs and Dontavian Wicks more than Golden this week, but there is no question that Golden has a really high ceiling in this one. So yeah, go ahead and give me Golden in this one here. Ollie gets all the goal line carries. All right, cool. Hunter Badger, full point PPR. Did I miss something? I must have missed something here. Francisco Marquez, how's it going? Tough spot this week, full point PPR. Would you play Quinshon Judkins or Oh, man, give me Quinshon. Again, Jennings dealing with a little bit of an injury. It's full point PPR. I am interested there. Quinshon's been playing really, really well. Judkins does see a lot of work when he's out there and available, but man, I'm still gonna lean on Quinshon Judkins. I think he gives you a safer floor, and decent upside too. So I'll take Quinshon. Here over Jennings, but I do like Jennings too. Okay, Peter Rivera, Jalen Tolbert or Christian Kirk? Tolbert or Kirk? Give me Kirk. Look, Tolbert is interesting, and he's going to see some slot reps there too, but it's not going to be a heavy emphasis on Tolbert. I don't think. They've got a few wide receivers that they're going to try to get involved there. Ryan Flournoy is going to get involved, so they've got other receivers in Dallas. Give me Christian Kirk, who I think is a clear-cut number 2. Wide receiver there for Houston. Again, ran the second most routes other than Nico Collins last week. He saw the second most targets other than Nico Collins last week. And Tennessee's been giving up a lot of production to wide receivers in the slot as well. Okay. Travion or Golden in the second flex spot. I think, I don't love Travion Henderson, but I'll go ahead and take Travion over Golden in this one. Dontavian Wicks has the most targets of any wide receiver in a Green Bay uniform. And that is despite the fact that he is playing about the same number of snaps as Matthew Golden. It's not like Golden's been great. you know? So I would say when I'm looking at Matthew Golden, I see a player who's got high upside, but a really scary low floor. Because Romeo Dobbs is playing the most snaps. Dontavian Wicks has the most targets among Green Bay wide receivers. So where does that leave Matthew Golden? You know what I mean? It feels as if those two guys are your top two dogs there. And then obviously they've got Tucker Kraft there soaking up a lot of targets as well. And this is going to be, it could potentially be a heavy run script too if Green Bay jumps out to a lead. I don't know. We'll find out. Michael Parla-Greco, what's up? Happy week 4 to you. BTJ against San Francisco. Chris Olave versus Buffalo, full point PPR. You got to trust Chris Olave the most. It kills me, stabs me right in the heart because I love BTJ, the player, but he has not been playing well. It's an oil and water situation right now there with Trevor Lawrence and BTJ. I think better days are ahead. I feel very confident in saying that. At some point, BTJ will get over these issues about alligator arming stuff over the middle. I think he will get back to that point. Trevor Lawrence is still trying to figure out the timing with his with his wide receiver too. So I think that will work too, man. So go ahead and give me Chris Olave this week. Better days are ahead for BTJ though. Oh, we got a new super chat question. Let's go. CMC. Godwin or Jennings in the flex? Jennings for me, easily. I'm not really trusting Godwin, guys. First game back from a major injury. Where are we going with that? I don't know. Give me Jennings, if we're talking about Juwan Jennings here. Juwan Jennings easily over Chris Godwin. Like I said, I just don't think that Godwin is going to play a huge role in this ballgame. And yes, I get it. They need him. Mike Evans is not there. But I would be surprised if coming off that major injury that Godwin gets that kind of share. Man, we're getting right down to it here, huh? 12 minutes to go. Let's go. Where are we going? What did I miss? I must have missed something. Bruh. I apologize. I lost my place here. Caleb Davis. Should I start Jamo or Worthy? Last flex spot. I don't even know how much Worthy's going to play. I don't know what role he's going to have. Obviously, I trust JMO more, but it's in a tough spot, man. So I don't know, man. Bond apart, best stash: Davis, Shipley, Dylan Sampson. I think Sampson's probably the best stash. We've seen him play a pretty big role. Ray Davis is going to be playing in the best offense there. So I would say either Ray Davis or Dylan Sampson. Shipley kind of feels like a pass catching running back for me. So not sure he would see between the tackles work anyways. So it's either Ray Davis or Dylan Sampson for me, man. Okay, MJK, 2288. Here we go. JMO, Waddle, or Worthy. Pick 2. I'm picking JMO and Waddle right there. Purdy or Mariota. I'm trusting Mariota a lot more. Let me tell you that. Give me Mariota in that spot. Purdy coming off of an injury here. I'm not 100% sure what that ends up looking like. Do they just feed the rock to CMC? Parla Greco, non-PPR, Drake London or Chris Olave. Again, we're going Olave here. Gavin Weinman, pick 2 for the week. Tet, Breece Hall, or Drake London. Give me Breece Hall and give me Drake London. I feel confident with that one, Gavin. Breece Hall, great player. You know, even if he is on the trade block, I think they want to, exhibit the wares. They want to show him off a little bit. And, I think with Justin Fields back, too, gives you a little bit of that, there'll be less attention paid to Breece Hall there, and Drake London is just too good. I know it's been a little bit of a struggle, but he's just too good, and I do think that Atlanta gets back on track this week against Washington, who has given up some production there. Okay, this is Mert. Oh, hey man, it's my guy Mert Oscan. Good to see you, pal. All rack. Start Dak, Daniel Jones, or Fields. I'm starting Daniel Jones of that group. I'm definitely not starting Dak against Green Bay's defense. No CD Lamb. Micah Parsons in a revenge game. No thanks. I want no piece of Dak. I could be wrong. I don't know. Dak's such a great player, so who knows? I'm tired of waiting on BTJ. I'm starting Godwin. All right, cool, man. I hear you, dude. I don't blame you. I really don't. I don't blame you at all, man. It's been rough. It has been a rough going for BTJ. Tight end spot, Bowers or Ferguson? Look, I love Ferguson. He obviously saw 1 billion targets last week, but I don't know how you sit down Bowers. Let's go with Bowers for me. Rack, full point PPR. Need one flex. Chase Brown, Trey Tucker, Keon Coleman. Of that group, give me Keon Coleman of that group. Very volatile. I hate questions like this because you're basing this off of nothing but vibes. The volume metrics are not there for any, and Chase Brown, obviously the volume is there, but the offensive line stinks. Give me Keon Coleman. I'm assuming he gives me the best touchdown upside of this group. Jose Foster, Ladd or Quentin? I'm going Ladd. Till the ship sinks, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm stupid. He's just a better player. I think that he's more integral to the offense than Quentin Johnston. At some point, they're going to stop allowing Quentin Johnston to do what he's doing. You just can't give up big plays in the NFL. I think Ladd, at some point is going to see a 10, 15 target game like he did last year because defenses just can't keep doing this. They keep shading coverage to Ladd. It's opening up over the top opportunities for Quentin Johnston. You just can't. NFL defense just can't do this. Stephen Pierre, Sterling Shepard, or Hollywood Brown. That's an interesting one. I would maybe say Hollywood Brown. Let's go Hollywood Brown right here. Both are incredibly volatile. Sterling Shepard has Chris Godwin coming back. Target share will be at a premium there. Hollywood Brown. I don't feel great about either one, but I'm going to lean on Hollywood Brown in what should be a higher scoring game. I believe Vegas has this one. As the highest scoring game of the week. Yeah, 49.5, tied for the most in the NFL. Tied with actually Indianapolis, LA Rams, actually. 49.5 is the top scoring game. So yeah, go ahead and give me Hollywood Brown in what I believe should be a pretty high scoring game. Okay. Oh, shoot. We got some super chats. My bad. Okay, here we go. Jimbo. We're going Jimbo Fisher, Tyquan Thornton, or Wandale. Give me Tyquan Thornton here. Again, higher scoring game potentially. I don't know what Wandale's role is going to be with that new quarterback in Jackson Dart. I'm trusting Tyquan Thornton a little bit more. He's seeing a lot of X receiver work. So we'll see. This is from Sidekick. Herbert or Nix? Oh, we're trusting Herbert, baby. Johnson or Hunter? I trust Johnson's volume metrics a little bit more, so give me Johnson. Will Nix ball out GM? I don't know what that means. Will Nix ball out? Sidekick, I don't know. Throw me an extra comment in there. You don't need to be in the super chat, but just throw me a comment to figure out what the hell's going on there. But I do like Herbert. Herbert's playing, dude, listen, Herbert is playing way too well. The Giants, they stink defensively. Even in a run, what should be a run heavy game script, forget it. I think the Chargers are throwing the football. They are one of the most heavy, pass over expected rates in the NFL right now. They're trusting Herbert. I think Herbert gets it going. Go ahead and give me Herbert right there. Okay. Mega Brick, you skipped. I did skip you, man. Dude, I'm sorry, man. When I go to these super chats, things just get crazy, bro. I do apologize. AJ, full PPR, Judkins or Dobbins, BTJ or Quentin Johnston? Judkins or Dobbins? I trust Judkins. I don't want to say I trust him more, but he's a really, really good player. Hold on. Let me check my rankings here real quick, because I think that one is really, really close. Denver's playing at home against Cincinnati, and Judkins we've got against Detroit. Ironically, you know what? Go ahead and give me Dobbins. I've got Dobbins ranked a little bit ahead of Judkins here. Run heavy game script potentially against Cincinnati. Denver is a 7.5 point favorite in this one, which should suggest a heavy run script. I will go ahead and take J.K. Dobbins. BTJ or Quentin Johnston? Dude, this one kills me, but I think I'm going Quentin Johnston right here. Let me see, bro. Let me see something. from BTJ before I will take that. And Johnston's just running so hot right now, man. Like, go ahead and give me Quentin Johnston. It kills me to say that because BTJ is such a good player. Brian Pereira, McMillan, or Brian Thomas Jr. for the wide receiver 2 in PPR. We're talking Tet McMillan, guys, right? Like, help me out here, guys. Like, if you guys throw in like names like Johnson or McMillan, or like, just give me the full name and it'll help everybody involved. Yeah, we're playing Tet McMillan over Brian Thomas Jr. Like I said, right now, let me go ahead and see a little something from BTJ before we go with BTJ. So give me Tet McMillan over Brian Thomas. MJK, I know we're getting up on it. JMO, Dubs, Waddle, pick 2. I'm going to pick JMO. I'm picking Dubs. Dubs against Green Bay. JMO's got, I don't think he's going to have a great game, but JMO has at least the upside to make that payout. So if I'm picking 2, give me the upside and floor play JMO Dubs for me. Full point PPR, sit 1, Jamar Chase, Quentin Johnston, Olave. Sit 1. If I'm sitting 1, I got to sit Quentin Johnston there. I know he's been running hot. Can't sit Jamar Chase. I can't sit Olave. These guys are seeing, 8 to 10 targets a game. They're really, really good players. So no, man, I got to sit Quentin Johnston in that one. Maybe I feel like an idiot at the end of the day. Pearsall, Olave, Flowers for flex. I'm going Pearsall right there. Pearsall is in a healthier offensive environment. And seeing similar, I mean, Olave is seeing crazy target share right now, but I will take Pearsall, who also is seeing really, really good, healthy target share as well. L Cricket, Purdy or Danny Dimes? We're going Danny Dimes here. Purdy with a little bit of an injury. I don't know how that ends up working, but I like Danny Dimes in what is potentially a high-scoring game against the LA Rams. Austin Slaughter, Pollard, Chuba, Mooney or Tillman? Flex spot, I'm assuming here. Give me Cedric Tillman for the upside. Olave, Debo, full PPR. Give me Olave. Too much volume overall. Debo, I think, is in a good spot too with no Terry McLaurin, but I trust Olave a little bit more. MJK, JMO, Dubs, Waddle. I think I already did that one. Torrey, Judkins, or Golden at flex. 1 point PPR. I'm going Judkins, safer floor, better upside. It's Judkins 100% for me. I know Golden has a great matchup against Dallas, but I think he's like the 4th option in that passing attack. Kelsey or Shakir? I don't have a great read on Kelsey, man. But again, it's supposed to be a high-scoring game. Baltimore struggled to defend tight end. Give me Kelsey. Hey, did we get through it? We're about 2 minutes away. I think I just ripped through about as many questions as I possibly could. My goodness gracious. Oh, my goodness gracious. That was pretty good. All right, Peyton, what's going on? Pick 2 to start this week out of Xavier Worthy, Darnell Mooney, Matthew Gold, and Jacoby Myers. If I'm picking 2, I'm definitely picking Jacoby. We're definitely going Jacoby there. And these other guys are all just like very high risk, high reward plays. I definitely like Jacoby, but if I'm chasing the upside here a little bit, I guess give me Matthew Golden against Dallas's horrendous defense. So yeah, I'll go Jacoby and Matthew Golden. I am so intrigued by Xavier Worthy, but I just don't trust him right now. So maybe I end up looking really bad. But Jacoby Myers for me. And Matthew Golden, I think, are the 2 plays that I would play if I was in that spot there. So there you go. Man, we're at it right now. So I appreciate y'all. It's been a great week here. Hopefully we go and win some football games. Hopefully we score a ton of fantasy points here in week number 4. Hopefully y'all played Kenneth Gainwell and got a crazy amount of points. That's great. But I will see y'all next week, man. I appreciate y'all jumping into the chat. And yeah, I do things just a little bit different than Jim. I love Jim, and I try to rip through a few more questions than him though, and try to get to it, man. But yeah, let's try to get it going, guys. I will see you guys next week. Good luck to everyone here in week number 4. We'll see you. Peace. Remember, it's never too late to chase your dreams. Later.